Good morning or afternoon, whichever one you decide to watch this, probably in the afternoon. So today is Thursday, March 11th, and this is your phonics video for today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Alrighty, so like I said, we are on lesson 9 of unit 5. And the first thing that we're going to do today is we're going to be sound scientists again today. Our first sentence for this is, my house is a historic building. It's been around for 200 years. So, how many syllables are in the word historic? So, let's try it out. Put your hand under your chin. Here we go. Historic. How many times did my chin go down? Historic. 3 times. Are 3 syllables in the word historic. Very good. And how many sounds are in the word historic? It's a lot, huh? It's a big question. So we have ist, or, ick. So we have 7 sounds in that word. That's a lot of sounds in a word. So what is the vowel sound in our first syllable? So our first syllable was hiss. What is the vowel sound in that syllable? Yes, it's the I. Now remember, I'm asking you for the sound, not the letter that makes the sound, okay? So it would be the I sound. What is the vowel sound in the second syllable? So let's see what our second syllable was. We had hiss, tor. Tor is the second syllable. What is the vowel sound in the second syllable? It's the or. Yes, that is the second syllable's vowel sound. And what is the vowel sound in the third syllable? Let's see what our third syllable was. Hiss, tor, ick. So ick is the syllable. What is the vowel sound for that syllable? All right, it is the I again. All right, so let's say the word historic. Say that with me. Historic. But let's replace that third syllable, the ick, with E. Ready? So now we have history. History. So we get the word history. Let's listen to the sentence again. My house is a historic building. What do you guys think historic means? Hmm. Well, the word historic is kind of similar to history, which we just discovered. So that makes me think that maybe it's about something that happened in the past, that happened long ago. And then the second sentence says it's been around for 200 years. That makes me think that it is about something that is old or in the past. So, how does the word history help us understand the word historic? Well, we kind of talked it through. We know that history is the study of things in the past. And so historic and history are kind of related, and they make me think of things that happened long ago or things that happened in the past. Alrighty, let's look at our second sentence. I saw a grasshopper in my garden this morning. How many syllables are in the word grasshopper? All right, let's try it out. I hope you guys got the right answer. Ready? Grasshopper. So how many syllables did you get? That's right, there's 3. We have grass, hop, are the 3 syllables. If we said the word grasshopper without grass, what word would we have? We would just have hopper. If we said grasshopper without hopper, what would we have? It would just be the word grass. Very good. What is a grasshopper? It is an insect that hops around and lives in the grass. So, how do the words grass and hopper help us understand what a grasshopper is? How do we take those two words and make it into a compound word? Help us understand what a grasshopper is. Well, we know what grass is. We know it's that green stuff that grows out of the ground. And we know what hop means to jump around. So we know that it is going to be something that hops around or jumps around through the grass. So it's an insect that jumps and hops around through the grass. So if we were to take the word hopper from grasshopper and replace it with the word land, what would our new word be? It would be grassland. Great. What is a grassland? It's a place on the land where there's lots of grass. Alrighty, so now we are going to look at some words. We're going to manipulate the first sound, the final blend in some words, okay? Our first sentence is, we saw baby birds in the nest. Nest. Now let's stretch that word out. We have nest. Put my pointer on. We have the nest. So we're going to take the first sound of that blend, which is the sound, and we're going to replace it with x, x. So we have next. Good. Hold on one second. I need to fix something real fast. Okay, I had to fix it because the sound is x, x, and the actual spelling is the X. So I needed to go and fix that. So our new word is the word next. So we had next. There we go. All right. Our next sentence is, we bought blue paint for the house. So we have the word paint. Let's stretch that word out. We have paint. And so we have nt is our blend right here. But we're going to replace the first sound of that blend with s. So now we have aced, aced. What's the new word going to be? That's right, it's going to be the word paste. Very good. All right, our next sentence. My mom lost her keys. So let's stretch that word out. We have lost, lost. We have the st as the blend, and we're going to replace the first sound of the blend. We're going to replace it with, so now we have off, off. What is the new word on the curve going to be? It's going to be the word loft. Very good. All right, our next word. Don't step on that ant hill. So we have the word ant, ant. And if we stretch that apart, we have ant. Good. The nt is our blend. And we're going to replace the first sound of the blend with k, k. So now we have act, act. What is the new word on the curve? It is act. Very good. All right, our last one. The daredevil did a scary stunt. Stunt. Let's stretch that word apart. We have unt, unt. Now we have two blends in this word. We have and we have nt, but we are focusing on the ending blend on all of our words. So we're going to focus on the nt in this word. We're going to replace the n at the beginning of that blend with, so now we have uh, uh, what's the new word going to be? It's going to be stuffed. Very good. All right. Do you guys see how these things that we do at the beginning of our lesson are important to that test that we took on Tuesday, where I told you a word and you repeated it and then we changed it? So when you pay attention to these kind of things, it makes that little test that we do much easier. And we are going to do that test one more time closer to the end of the school year. So we need to work really hard on our beginning of the lessons to make sure that we're paying attention to how to change and manipulate sounds in words. Okay. All right. It is time for your spoonerism of the day. You guys ready? Okay. So our spoonerism for today, it's a sentence. It's not just a phrase or word time. It's a whole sentence. Did you hear the roar bell ding? Did you hear the roar bell ding? What should that say? Let me show it to you. Did you hear the roar bell ding? I think that you've probably got it figured out, and the answer is, did you hear the doorbell ring? Good job. All right, our learning targets for today are I can read contraction words, I can identify the subject and predicate in a sentence, and I can partner read the story, The Boat Trip. All right, so contractions. You guys have heard that word before, right? Contractions. Today we're going to review contractions. How can you tell a word becomes a contraction? So a contraction is a new word made up of two words, and certain letters are left out, and an apostrophe is inserted in the place of those missing letters. So I'm going to show you a word one at a time, and I want you to say a sentence using the word on the card. Okay, I'll give you an example. Here's the word can't. Okay, so you're going to say the word can't, and then you're going to tell me a sentence using the word. I can't open the bottle of ketchup. Okay, so you're going to tell me your sentence using the word can't. So if you need to, pause the video after each word so that you have time to think of a sentence and say it and push play, okay? So go ahead and push pause, and then when you've done your sentence for can't, we will move on. Is not. Okay, say that with me. Is not. All right, now pause the video to think of a sentence with is not and then hit play. Aren't. Aren't. Could not. Wouldn't. Will not. Cannot. isn't, are not, couldn't, would not, won't. All right, so now we're going to match the word pairs to the correct contractions, okay? So here we have three contractions and three sets of word pairs that make a contraction, okay? So what about the word can't? Do you think can't is a contraction for are not, cannot, or is not? Which one do you think it matches? Okay, now if you pay close attention to your contractions, guys, the first part of the contraction is the first word. So, what is the first word of this contraction? The word can. So, the two words that make up the contraction have to start with the word can. So, the are not start with can? No. Does cannot start with can? Yeah, it does. But remember, we always need to check all of our possible choices. Does is not start with can? No. So can't must be the contraction for cannot. And look, the last part of the contraction is the apostrophe T. And that is what not ends with, is the T. And the apostrophe is taking the place of the N and the O. Let's look at the next one. We have isn't. Okay, there again, first part of the word is is. Which one of our word pairs starts with is? Is not. So, do you think isn't might be a contraction for is not? Yes. And then our last one is aren't. Which one is that a match to? Are not. Very good. So can't is a contraction for cannot. Isn't is a contraction for is not. And aren't is a contraction for are not. Let's do three more. We have couldn't, wouldn't, won't. And the three word pair choices are would not, could not, will not. This one's got a tricky one in it. All right, so let's think about what is your pair of words that matches couldn't. Let's look at the first part of that contraction. It is what word? The word could. Which one of these starts with the word could? Could not. Good. So couldn't is a contraction for could not. The next word is wouldn't. Wouldn't. What does wouldn't start with? It starts with the word would. So what do you think is going to be would not, could not, or will not? It's going to be would not. Now this one is a little tricky because this is one of those oddball contractions that you have to change. Because if we have the words will not and you turned it into a contraction, it would say willn't. Does that sound right? He willn't go to the store for me. What would you say instead? He won't go to the store for me. So will not, you have to change it into won't. Sometimes, just like when we have plural nouns, we have to change some of the words completely, like children instead of child. Sometimes you have to change a contraction, and will not into won't is one of those times. So couldn't is a contraction for could not, wouldn't is a contraction for would not, and won't is a contraction for will not. All right, good job, guys. Now you do have a little worksheet to do today about contractions, so just be prepared for that. Now today we're going to talk about subjects and predicates in sentences again. We have talked about those several times. So let's look at this sentence. Beth ate the pie. What is the subject of that sentence? Who or what is that sentence about? Yeah, it's about Beth. And what is the predicate? What did Beth do? She ate the pie. So the subject is Beth, and the predicate is ate the pie. So we're going to underline the subject one time, and we're going to underline the predicate twice. So Beth ate the pie. Let's look at this one. Beth and Joe walked and ran. What's the subject in this sentence? Who or what is that sentence about? Okay, so you may have said Beth, and that's partly correct, but is that sentence only about Beth? No, it's about Beth and Joe. This is called a compound subject. That means you have more than one, okay? This was a simple subject because you only had one. This is going to be a compound because you have more than one. So Beth and Joe are the subject, the compound subjects. What is the predicate of this sentence? What did Beth and Joe do? They walked, but is that all they did? It says they walked and ran. So Beth and Joe are the compound subject. Walked and ran is the compound predicate. So, um, so like I just said, Beth and Joe are the examples of a compound subject. Walked and ran are examples of a compound predicate. So we are going to do this worksheet a little bit together, and then I want you to finish it. All right, so it says, underline the subject once and the predicate twice. Put a check above any compound subject or predicate. Okay. Drawing. I'm going to make a line. I want it to stand out, so I'm going to use yellow, okay? All right, so the boys and girls played in the mud. Or what is that sentence about? Okay, so it is about the boys and girls. Good. What did the boys and the girls do? They played in the mud. Exactly. Remember, the predicate gets two lines. Okay. But now let's see. Is our subject compound? Does it have more than one person? Yes, it says boys and girls. So we're going to put a check mark there. It probably should make that a little bit smaller, shouldn't I? And played in the mud, is that compound or simple? That is just a simple predicate. Now, if it said jumped and played in the mud, then that would be compound, but it only says they played in the mud. All right, let's look at number 2. Ben and Jim like to draw and color pictures. Who or what is the subject? Right, it's Ben and Jim, 2 of them. So is that compound or simple? There are 2 people, so that makes it compound. Now let's find the predicate. What do Ben and Jim like to do? They like to draw and color pictures. Okay, so is that simple or compound? It says they like to draw and color pictures. So that means that there are 2 things there. So that is compound. Let's do one more together. Jamie and Jesse like to run and jump. What or who is that sentence about? It is about Jamie and Jesse. Okay, so Jamie and Jesse. That tells me how many people are this sentence talking about? It's talking about 2 people. So is that simple or a compound subject? That is a compound, oops. It is a compound subject because there's 2 of them. All right, now let's find the predicate. What is it that Jamie and Jesse do? They like to run and jump. Good. So is that simple or compound? That is compound because they like to run and jump. Oops. There we go. All right, so you are going to do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 on your own today, okay? Make sure I save those. All righty. Let's get back to our slideshow. All right, so here we are. It is time for our story. So what I want you to do right now is if you need to take a quick break, if you need to get up, walk around for a few minutes, go to the bathroom, get a drink, anything like that, go ahead and pause the video and do that and come back, not too long, like maybe 3 or 4 minutes, 5 at the most, and then come on back so we can finish our lesson, okay? Okay, so we are reading the story, The Boat Trip today. So let's look at the table of contents, see, well, the title of the story, which I just told you, but to see what page it starts on. Okay, so chapter 6, The Boat Trip. Let's highlight it. I feel like highlighting it today. I don't know why. The Boat Trip. What page is it on? 56. Awesome. All right, so here we are, The Boat Trip. Word of how brave Sir Gus had driven away the troll went across the kingdom. The tale soon reached King Alfred. The king was so grateful to Sir Gus that he changed his name from Sir Gus the Fearless to Sir Gus the Utterly Fearless. Sir Gus was given a splendid but rather large red robe to keep as a symbol of his bravery. To celebrate the defeat of the troll, the king invited his knights to go hunting with him. 11 of the knights rode off with the king to hunt for red deer and wild pigs. Sir Gus, however, didn't go. He did not like hunting. It was far too dangerous. Rather than go hunting, Sir Gus took a long, relaxing bath. Then he went to the kitchen to see if tasty foods were being prepared. The next day, King Alfred decided to go sailing on his boat. He insisted that his knights all go with him. And so, right after lunch, the knights made their way south to the coast. One by one, they stepped onto the king's boat. Sir Gus wanted to tell the king that he did not like boats or water. In fact, the two together made him very sick indeed, but he didn't want to upset the king, so he joined the party. It was a nice afternoon when the boat set sail. The sun shone, the water was calm, there was not a cloud in the sky. The king appeared on deck. "Isn't this wonderful?" he said. "Sir Gus, we're having a wonderful time." "Yes, indeed I am," replied Sir Gus, lying. Then, late in the afternoon, the sky darkened. The wind began to blow. Large waves began to beat on the side of the boat. Sir Gus began to feel ill. The king was alarmed. He and 11 of the knights had to fight to keep the boat afloat in the strong winds and rising waves. As for Sir Gus, he was so sick he no longer cared if the boat floated or sank. He couldn't stand up. He lay in the bottom of the boat moaning and groaning. And that is why no one saw the large pirate ship approaching. Okay. Hold on a second. Ah, alrighty. So, and I kind of did this backwards today. In our story, we had some spellings that we would see. We saw. Let me go back. Okay, so here is one of the tricky. Go away, screen. One of the tricky words that we saw in our story was the word water. And the reason it's tricky is because the A spelling does not sound like ah, it sounded like ah. And so sometimes you may have come across words that you have may not seen before. And you should use your word skills like chunking into syllables and context clues using the information around the unknown word to determine the correct pronunciation and meaning. So here were some of the spellings. We had the A sound with a consonant E in tail, grateful, bravery, and waves. And then we had the schwa, the in afloat with the A spelling. We had some vocabulary in today's story. We had the words utterly, which means absolutely or completely. We had the phrase symbol of his bravery, which in this story was the large red robe that represented and showed everyone how brave Sir Gus was. And set sail means to travel by boat. So we did read the story already. I kind of did that out of order. So think about what kind of adventures or trouble did we see that were happening in this story when they were out on a boat adventure? How did it end? Let's go back and look and see how the story ended. Look at that last sentence. And that is why no one saw the large pirate ship approaching. What do you think is going to happen in the next story? I think a pirate ship is going to try to board their boat and take their things. That would be terrible. All right, so you do have a couple of more worksheets to do for me today. You're going to reread the story or listen to the story, The Boat Trip, and then you're going to answer these questions. It says, briefly summarize what happened in the story, The Boat Trip. So just write a few sentences and tell me what happened. Like if I had never read that story before and you were telling me what happened in the story, that is what summarize means. And then you're going to draw lines from the subject to the predicate that matches. And maybe use different colors, like do King Alfred in one color, like red, and then do the 11 Knights in blue, Gus in yellow. That way I can easily see which one you matched it to rather than having to follow your lines. It would just make things easier for me, please. All right, so then that's all there is for 9.2. And then 9.3 is the worksheet that I talked about on contractions. Okay. All right. So the first section is it gives you the contraction. You are going to tell me what the two words are that make up the contraction. Okay. And I know we haven't talked about some of these, but I'm sure that you and your parents easily can figure these out. All right. So let's think about the word don't. What do you think the two words that make up the contraction for don't are? Remember we talked about look at the first part of the contraction, and that is the word do. Don't. Like if I say don't touch the stove, what does that mean? Do not touch the stove. Good. So you're going to do that. And then here it says write a sentence using at least one of the contractions. So you're going to write the sentence, and then I would like for you to like maybe use your circle to circle it so I see what contraction that you used. So I'll give you an example. Okay. We aren't going to the party today. All right, and then I'm going to use my circle to highlight aren't. Okay, so I want you to write a sentence using at least one contraction and then circle the contractions that you use. Okay, but look, this page has 2 pages. You have another set of contractions, except this time it's backwards. Okay, this time you have the two words and you're going to tell me the contraction. And guys, if you look up here, some of these might be the same. Okay, make sure that you keep that apostrophe in there because that apostrophe has to be there. And then you're going to write another sentence using one of the contractions. And I want you to do the same thing. Circle it so that I know what contraction that you used. Okay. All right. So our learning targets for today were I can read contraction words. I can identify subject and predicate in a sentence. And I can partner read the story, The Boat Trip. All right. So that is your phonics assignment for today. So you have the story and you have the 3 worksheets to work on for today. And you all have a grammar assignment. And it's just a review of what we have done so far in grammar. And when you open it in Cami, I'll have a little video comment today. Let me go ahead and show you. I made a video comment today. I figured I had to do that. Where'd it go? Well, it might be on your copy. I don't know why it's not on my copy. So you have, and this is kind of big, but this is, it's just review. It's everything you have already done before. and it is going to be used as a grade. So please make sure that you do those to the best of your ability. And like I said, I mean, this right here shows me that there is a comment, but for some reason I can't see it. You guys will be able to see it when you open it. So you do have a grammar assignment, you have a phonics assignment, no spelling today. Okay, so no spelling homework. Just make sure you do your phonics work. There's 3 of them, 3 pages, and your grammar, which is being used as a test grade. So make sure you try your hardest. Okay? And that's all that we've got for phonics today, guys. And remember, tomorrow we're not having a spelling test, but you will be doing something instead of the spelling test. Okay, so I will see you guys later. I hope you have a great afternoon. Bye.